So the Royal Rumble passed, and of course, people have hella opinions on the winners of the Royal Rumble. I'm not going to spend time talking about Charlotte because I think her win was inevitable. I don't think anybody in their right mind saw Charlotte at bare minimum not being in the final two, because as soon as she announced her return and she said she was coming back for the Rumble, I think it's very clear that they're paving the road for her versus Tiffany. Now, I will admit, it's not out of the realm of possibility that she faces Rhea again. I'll just throw that out there because I don't see a real clear challenger for either of them if Charlotte doesn't challenge them. But enough about Charlotte. Let's talk about the real story of the Royal Rumble, and that was the main event, the Men's Royal Rumble, which saw Jey Uso, of all people, Jey Uso, pulling off one of the biggest Rumble upsets ever. Not only did he make it to the final two with John Cena, who I think was the odds-on favorite if you asked most people to win the thing, but he also beat John Cena by pushing him over the top rope. I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I watched it and my initial reaction was just clear shock. I just couldn't believe the fact that Jey Uso is now an official Royal Rumble winner and will probably main event night one of WrestleMania 41. It blew my mind, and I'm not gonna lie, at first I was a little bit upset because my guy didn't win. I was pulling for CM Punk, but I had to take a step back and truly understand that Jey Uso is one of the most popular guys on the roster. This is a guy who started off as a tag team wrestler. Remember back in the day when the Usos were wearing their little tights, they didn't really have entrance music, and then they started doing the chants with their entrance music. Then they changed to the Uso Penitentiary, had those great matches with the New Day, and then the Thunderdome happened, and everything changed for Jey. If Jimmy Uso does not get injured and has to miss a huge part of that era, you could argue that the whole main event Jey Uso push would not be happening. It really is crazy to think about just how many dominoes had to fall at the right time for us to get to this moment. And honestly, I'm not mad at it anymore. I like it. People act like there isn't an obvious story with Jey Uso, and there isn't time from now until WrestleMania for them to build even more interest into him versus Gunther, because I do not believe he's going to challenge Cody Rhodes. The story is laid out on a platter for them to tell Jey vs. Gunther once again. The guy came out there and cut a promo on Raw right before the Royal Rumble saying, I can beat this guy. I am going to prove him wrong. And when you have a babyface, especially as over as Jey Uso is, you cannot sit there and have him make blank promises. That's the reason why I think Sammy is going to one day win the World Heavyweight title. Because when you look throughout WWE history, I believe 95% of the time when babyfaces make a promise, they deliver on that promise. It doesn't matter how many times it takes for them to deliver on it, but usually in situations like this, they do come through. And honestly, it really is kind of sad what a lot of people are doing to Jey Uso on the internet. Now, the internet is not a real place. He just came out on Raw earlier tonight and he got a monster reaction. Fans are cheering for Jey Uso. If you go and watch some of the live reactions to the young kids, they are crying for this guy when he won the Royal Rumble. The man is white hot and over, and the comparisons to Jeff Hardy are very real. I completely understand them. Jey is one of those guys that just has a natural connection to the fans, and it's even outside of the stories that they tell about him. He's charismatic, he can cut promos, he has a nice look, has great merchandise, and on top of that, it doesn't hurt that he's a part of one of the greatest stories of all time with the Bloodline. Fans are very fickle, and it's kind of disappointing seeing how they're just tearing him apart on social media. Yes, is he a super kick king? Absolutely. Was the match with Jimmy completely a dud? Yes. But we're not talking about him running it back with Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania. We're talking about him facing Gunther, a guy that can have a great match with the broomstick. And I will still be fair because at the end of the day, one, he would not have been my first choice. If I could go back and change that outcome, I definitely would, even in hindsight. I mean, I've even seen a lot of comparisons from Jey Uso to LA Knight, and I think those comparisons are lacking a lot of context. On one hand, I do kinda agree that they dropped the ball somewhat on LA Knight. There is no reason why he even should have lost the United States title to Shinsuke Nakamura of all people. But you can't in good faith also point to the time that he lost the Money in the Bank contract to Damian Priest, because for starters, that worked out very well for Damian Priest. And secondly, LA Knight at the time was doing a bunch of nothing. He went on to SummerSlam and won a mid-card battle royal that I promise you none of you guys remember. Jey Uso has been doing the main event thing going back to like 2020. It's been 5 years and now he is one of the most over stars in the fucking company. Jey is going to go on and probably win the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania, and now for the rest of his career, he's gonna be seen as a legitimate star. Because as of now, he's always known as, he's gonna get some main events here and there. If they needed someone for the champion to beat, he's going to be put into that spot. But now he can go around and say, I'm a former world champion. I'm a former Royal Rumble winner. And he will have credibility that guys like LA Knight, guys like Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes are looking to find. And in the future, when he puts those guys over, it's going to mean a whole lot more and help the business as a whole. People are always saying they need to create new stars, and they're pushing somebody that's white hot over with the young and adult fans. I truly do not understand fans a lot of times when they do these things. They're sitting there acting like Jey Uso is some part-time wrestler that they hate. And meanwhile, these same fans were upset about The Rock coming back and taking Cody Rhodes' spot because Cody is the young star on the rise and he's the one that has to finish his story. But yet, they have no problem with John Cena coming and hijacking Jey's story. And don't get me wrong, I understand the differences between Cody Rhodes' situation last year and Jey Uso's situation this year. But despite the differences, they are still pretty similar, and the reactions are hilariously stupid. Now, do not get me wrong. If Jey Uso goes into WrestleMania and has another dud match like he did against Jimmy Uso last year, I think it's safe to say that they did make a mistake. Because yes, hindsight is 2020, but could you imagine how bad it would be to close out one of the nights of WrestleMania, especially the second fucking night, with a terrible match filled with bad spears from Jey Uso and a bunch of super kicks, with the crowd probably sitting on their hands or even worse, booing, and then having Jey win anyways? It would just destroy the moment that they are trying to create, which is one of the reasons why I don't think it's going to be a standard normal one-on-one match. I think they will add a stimulation to give it a little bit of flair and give it some repetition that not only Jey's matches in general have, but he has faced Gunther like 3 times already. You don't want all their matches to feel the same, especially the biggest one on the grandest stage. So regardless of how you feel about Jey Uso, if you want WWE to create new stars, you should be happy with this decision. And at the end of the day, he's what's best for business. The guy moves merchandise. The guy puts butts in seats for not only the younger generation, but even the older generation. And his aura is off the fucking charts. So if you're one of the people that hate Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble, honestly, you are entitled to that opinion, but you can't sit there and act like it doesn't make sense. Especially if you're one of the people that complain about the lack of star power in WWE now as compared to back in the day. But you guys let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. I would really love to know what you guys think. It's been so long since I dropped a video, but trust me, I am back, especially for WrestleMania season. So stay tuned for more videos going forward. This is your boy Omo Mustard signing out. Y'all stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.